You know, the human birth is said to be the rarest of all, for it grants the unique possibility of conscious God realization. While other beings live bound by instinct, only the human being has the faculty of introspection, discrimination, and devotion. Yet how easily we waste this blessing in transient pleasures and ego pursuits. When we observe great bhaktas, we see how they used every breath, every limb, every word, and every moment of their life in the service of the Lord. One such beautiful example is Sri Madhurakavi Alvar, a saint whose entire being was not dedicated even to God directly, but to his guru who was fully immersed in God. Through his total surrender, we see how even a single-minded focus on a realized master becomes a sacred means to attain divine realization. Discourse. The saints caution us if we happen to follow the wrong path and show us the proper way. They always remain in the ecstasy of the awareness of God, always thinking of Him and talking of Him. True, lasting joy is obtained only by those who see everything as part of God's sport. That we sow a single seed of corn and reap an ear as harvest? Is this not an evidence of God's merciful sportiveness? In essence, we have in us all that God is and has. We have the divine spark in us no less than Maruti had. Only he fully developed it, whereas we smother it. Let us therefore hold him as our ideal, his continence, devotion and service to Rama, and way of obliging others. These characteristics we should try to imitate and imbibe. Maruti lives for all time. One with the proper degree of faith may still see him. He viewed all creation as the image of Rama. It is this that true devotion seeks to achieve. When devotion reaches the degree where one forgets oneself, the devotee will find his abstract ideal take shape and assume life. Whenever thinking of or doing anything, ask yourself whether God will approve of it. To feel thus at all times is what devotion seeks to achieve. When you attain the conviction that God is the doer and dispenser of everything, that he is your well-wisher and support, then everything that comes or happens will be meekly accepted as his will, and complete contentment will result. This contentment and the joy it brings surpass all other kinds of wealth. There should be a veritable fountain of joy in our heart, so that anyone who has a mood of cheerlessness should seek our company to drive away that mood. Worldly riches can be given away and exhausted, but joy is a thing that improves by giving. A joyful nature is, indeed, a divine gift. You know, man is endowed with the invaluable faculties of a logical mind, a discerning intellect, and a highly capable speech for communication of thoughts and ideas. But quite often we abuse these gifts, employing them for obtaining bodily pleasures and sentimental gratification instead of directing them to the attainment of God. In our own interest, we should really desist from this misapplication and employ these faculties in the service of devotion to God. Personal reflection. Sri Madhurakavi Alvar's entire spiritual journey is, honestly, a luminous example of the body and mind being directed solely for God realization. Not even through direct worship of the Lord, but by total surrender to a God-realized soul, Nammazhwar. Once, Madhurakavi, a Brahmin and a scholar from the north, was traveling in the south and witnessed a strange light in the sky. Following it, he was led to a tamarind tree in Alwat Thirunagari, under which a young boy sat in deep, unmoving meditation. This was Nammazhwar, who had not spoken a word since birth, immersed in divine bliss. To test if this was just a yogi in trance or, something more, Madhurakavi asked a riddle. If a tiny thing, the soul, is born in a dead thing, the body, what does it eat and where does it stay? To this, Nammazhwar, breaking years of silence, replied, "It eats it and stays in it." Madhurakavi immediately realized that this boy was no ordinary being. From that moment on, he completely gave up his own sadhana, his own thoughts, and even the idea of personal liberation. He said, "I do not want even God, if he is separate from my guru Nammazhwar." He composed only 11 verses, not in praise of God directly, but glorifying his guru as the embodiment of God. This total surrender of the body, intellect, and will to the guru, that is using one's life as a tool for true realization. The saints teach us that this body, fleeting and fragile as it is, can become a temple of realization if used rightly. Every cell in us has the same divine potential as Hanuman. We only need to awaken it through bhakti, service, humility, and inner purity. Brahmachaitanya Maharaj shows us the greatness of channeling all our faculties, speech, intellect, heart, not for egoic pursuits, but for selfless devotion. To walk in the footprints of such a devotee is the truest expression of what it means to use the human body as an instrument for God realization. Let us then make the resolve that this life, this breath, this mind are not ours. They belong to Him, and through them may we touch the feet of divinity.